something deeply about yourself, does that make it real? Does that make it more real than otherwise it would be? I want to unpack that and explore that a little bit today in this video. As always, I'm your host, Mr. Fox. Lately, I've been thinking a lot about what makes something real and how is something realized from within. And I was having a conversation a few weeks ago at a coffee shop with a dear friend of mine, and he said something that really resonated with me and really kind of floored me when he said it. He made mention of the fact that when we share something, it makes it real. And when he said that, it seems pretty simple and obvious, right? I mean, it seems like, well, no kidding. But when you really stop and think about that and let those words just kind of settle in, that to me is one of the most profound observations, and one of those simple reminders that hits so deep and so close to home that I think I have certainly been guilty of not always remembering that or recalling that. And I think probably maybe you and many others at times have been guilty of forgetting that very simple yet profound fact. Sharing brings it into the real, it makes it real. And I think we oftentimes are afraid of making things real. And we're certainly afraid of sharing things. And there's so much that goes into sharing things that are very deep within us and are close to our hearts and that really speak to the archives of our souls. And I'm a firm believer that one of the reasons we're here is to share the lights of our souls with others. And to do that, I think we really do have to put ourselves out there. And we have to share things and reveal things and uncover things about ourselves. And make no mistake about it, that is one of the most ultimate and gigantic tasks that we have in life. And as with most things and anything really worth anything in this life, it is arguably the most difficult thing to do. And I'm beginning to wonder, is it easy to share and we just make it difficult to share things about ourselves? Or is in fact the truth is that it is that difficult and there are plenty of reasons to not share things about ourselves? I don't know. I go back and forth on that, but what I kind of come to and come around to most often with this is I do think at bottom we are supposed to share, and I think we're called to share things and experiences about ourselves and to make ourselves known. And I think we want to know and we want to be known. And to know and to be known resonates with all of us. But I feel that we're working against a lot when we do that. We're working against mostly, I think, the voices of ourselves and the voices of the sides of us that we don't want to share. And so there's a resistance within us that pushes back. We resist ourselves. We don't share and put ourselves out there because we're yielding and kind of fighting against ourselves, but also protecting and shielding ourselves from the world and from others. And that creates, I think, a deficit and an unfortunate gap in being heard, being understood, and being realized in the world. I think I think many of us want to be heard, but we want to be heard in the right kinds of ways. Not some, you know, not some person sitting across from us with a clipboard, taking notes and analyzing us and breaking us down and, digging into us necessarily. I think there's another kind of knowing that we're longing for, we're seeking out, we're searching for. Because no matter where we're at, we're always there with ourselves. No matter where we go, no matter what's going on, we always travel with ourselves. And so there are things that are working on us and working through us. And I think seeking and asking to be put out there, to be voiced, to be transcribed, to be put into some kind of creative act or artwork. And when you get to that place where you cross a threshold with yourself, where you're meeting yourself, you're really getting into who you are as you sit across from you. That's the kind of realness I'm talking about. That's the kind of confrontation with the self that I'm interested in. And I think we have to do that with ourselves. We have to sit for some amount of time, some period of time in silence. And silence is no joke. Silence really is our teacher. That's where we get to know ourselves. That's where we get to reflect and introspect and really explore who the heck we are and who the heck we've been. But there's another side to that. There's another part of that. Because I think that can take us very far and that can get us to that place, possibly. But I do think that can be not a lost cause, but I think we got to go deeper with it. And the deeper part is, okay, I've been sitting in silence. I've been taking time on myself. I've been really having those honest, hard looks and conversations with myself about myself and who I've been and who I've really been. And I've been brutally honest with myself about myself as much as I possibly can. I think the next step is sharing that, talking about it. And I know I'm throwing a little bit of shade here. I threw a little bit of shade earlier at Mr. and Mrs. Tell Me More. But I think there is value. I think there is power and relief and healing through sharing things about ourselves and about our experiences and about who we've been and who we want to be with others. I think that's the key to opening the doors to who we are. And that's the key to taking the journey towards recovering and healing and making our wounds and pains and traumas, making those whole. I think we spend a lot of time focusing, and maybe arguably too much time focusing on the wounds, focusing on the pains, the struggles. And I am an advocate of therapy in its most genuine and real way of operating, way of being. I fundamentally believe in therapy as something that can work. But I also think therapy has left many wanting. Has left many wondering. And while I don't think therapy can solve or help everything, and it's not an absolute remedy for all of life's problems, I do think it could help. And what therapy does get right, when it's right, is insight, real insight. And so the next stage is building your self, your whole self, your real self, the self that you have always wanted to be. And the self is always evolving, the self is always becoming. And we're stepping into ourselves every day, each moment. As we evolve, as we change, as we grow, as we go through things, as we go through different struggles and challenges, and we get the wins too. You know, it's all a part of it. It's all a part of the journey. It's all a part of the game. It's all a part of the way of life, the way of being. So, who are we showing up to be each and every day? Who are we really becoming? And I think when we share, it helps us become ourselves. It makes things real, which making things real terrifies us. And with good reason, but it doesn't always have to be, I think, as terrifying as it's been made to be. And I think it gets less terrifying when you put yourself out there. I think many of us are so afraid to really talk, and to be raw, and to be exposed, and to be just brutally honest. And really with ourselves, I think, to begin with. And when we take that next step, and we take that next leap into becoming, which is to take what we gain and what we learn as we explore ourselves in silence. It's taking that stuff and then being able to share it or talk about it and convey it. Because I think when we go through whatever it is that we go through, and we go through these different times, these different seasons of challenges, I think we're put in those spots called the sacred pauses where we're supposed to stop and resonate in our stillness, and then we're supposed to take that and then put it into the world and convey it. And I think that's where when silence teaches us what it's supposed to teach us, then there's that other part of us, the deeper part of us, our higher self, that wants to then take that and put it out there, to share it, to make it real, to make it known, to make it felt. Yes, we want to be heard, but yes, I also think we need to be heard. And I think others want to hear us. I think everybody has something to say. And this is why I think being able to listen, to slow down, and back to empathy, to be empathic and empathetic is so powerful and far-reaching. But that takes a lot of courage. That takes strength. That takes being able to bypass our shame and our guilt, our fragility, our vulnerability, all those things that kind of get in the way of, or kind of put a kibosh on us wanting to share ourselves. That's what we have to get by and get through and get past. I do believe it is very freeing and healing to share. It's just, okay, how do I share? And when do I share? And who can I share with? And that's like a whole, there's all these other things that come with this, the power of sharing and the sharing process. But I think when we arrive there and we get there, that's when we become the phoenix. That's when we become who we are. I think many of us, and maybe I'm just speaking for myself, but I think for many of us, we get so lost. We become afraid of ourselves. And we think things like, nobody's going to get me, nobody's going to understand me. And that if I put myself out there, if I share and say what I really want to say and share, and I'm completely genuine and authentic in sharing myself, then now I'm putting myself out there, and now I'm going to be exposed, and now I'm going to be judged. I might be frowned upon. I might be castigated. I might be shunned. And I say to that, keep going. Keep sharing. Keep speaking it into life. Keep speaking and sharing yourself into reality. We're supposed to. That's part of our journey here. That's part of our life, is to make things that are unreal real. And to attempt to say what can't be said. I think that's what we try to do. I think that's what we want to do. But I think the biggest battle is with ourselves. Because I think what we often find when we take that step is we're not alone. Yeah, we ask ourselves, you know, questions. Questions like, am I lovable? Am I still okay? Will you still be my friend? Will you still accept me? Are you going to stick around and be there for me as I get through these dark times and challenges? That's what makes sharing so difficult. That's what makes all of this so very necessary, though. It could be said like that there's been no time in history in which making reality real is more apparent and more needed and more desired than a time like right now. So much chaos and confusion, uncertainty, outside in the world and inside within ourselves. It's hard to tell what's what anymore. It's hard to make sense of anything anymore. Many of us, we spend most of our lives trying to make sense of what's going on within ourselves. And we always come back to ourselves. But with everything outside collapsing and colliding with everything inside, doesn't it feel as if we are breaking through, breaking open? Something big is on the way, something big is happening. And so when I think about the nature and the ethos of what's going on in every realm right now, I think we got to sing. I think we got to dance. I think we got to make art. I think we've got to make love. I think we've got to show love, bring love, accentuate love. I think we got to tell people and show people and remind people that we love them, that we care about them, that we're there for them, that we're present. And so oftentimes that gets so lost in everything and lost in the chaos of it all. But back to those questions and more are what keeps us at the door of not being willing or able to share. Because to share is to make those parts of us that we don't want to make real. Because once it's out there, it's known. And once it's out there, it is in some sense out there for anybody and everybody's interpretation. And people may spin things, they may convolute things, they may turn it into something that it was never intended to be. But don't let that stop you from caring, and don't let that stop you from sharing yourself. Put your soul into the world. It's calling you. It's calling me. So, what would I recommend? I would recommend telling somebody that you're close to, saying I love you, stopping everything that you're doing in your tracks, and finding that moment and that place to say, I love you, I'm here for you, and I appreciate you, and thank you for being here. Start with love. You can't go wrong with love. Number 2, let's make silence our friends. Yeah, silence is uncomfortable. It can be unsettling. It can be disturbing in a sense. Because when we're sitting in our silence, when we're making silence front and center and putting it on stage for us to get to know and get to see, silence is that whisper that speaks to us when we don't want to listen. But silence reminds us that we need to care about ourselves, that there's something about us, something within us that wants to be known, that wants to be heard. Silence helps us dance in our mystery, dance within the mystery of chaos, of confusion, of suffering. So make silence your new friend. And silence does imply a certain amount of quietude, a certain amount of unplugging, of getting away from our screens, our distractions, the things that keep us caught up in whatever we call this thing of reality, where we're all connected and yet disconnected. We need to unplug. We need to turn off. We need to unglue ourselves from this hyperspace, this cyberspace that we call reality. So love first, make silence more of a friend. And then I would say, treat yourself. Treat yourself by being kind to yourself. Yeah, kindness towards yourself. You're not that different. You're not that weird. You're not that strange. You're not a pariah. You're not an outcast. You're not a rebel. You're not any of the things that you've told yourself that you are. Now, it might be true, you might be some of those things, and you might embody some of those things, but you are more than you could ever say that you are. You're more than that. You are everything and more. That door that you're trying to get through, that's yourself. You put all this language onto yourself. I put all this language onto myself. We play all these tricks on ourselves, all these games. We We get caught up in our own thoughts. We catastrophize things. We get bogged down by all the crap, right? The lies that we tell ourselves about ourselves. That we're no good, that we're not worthy, that we don't deserve to be seen and felt and heard and understood. Well, it's time to be kind to ourselves because you and I deserve that. We're human. We're human and we're not supposed to get or understand everything. So if we're going to be human, I think it's time to be kind. It's time to forgive, and it's time to be kind. So let us forgive ourselves and let us be kind to ourselves. So love, silence, kindness. Those are my offerings. Those are my offerings as it pertains to making sharing great. Being able to bring your light to the world and to share it, to speak it, and to be known and to know and to be known. That's what it is. That's what it's about. Thanks for taking your time and making your space for my video today.